Yes, this is the Midweek Rub, and it is round 23. I can't believe we've made it. We've got here. Finals are just around the corner, but we are looking forward to a big show. As always, I've got next to me Daisy Thomas, looking fit and terrific.
Fit, firm, fast, and not the other F word that used to go with that, Joey. But no, look, I'm up and about. I'm still trying to stick to this diet. Got out and about with, obviously, no one today, but I'm doing the exercise. I'm keeping a positive attitude because the last couple of lockdowns, all I've done is eaten dim sims. And as we've learned, Duck, you start to look like a dim sim.
I did happen to run into you the other day, power walking with his little weights.
Yep.
What, you did not?
Yeah, I got the weights.
You're walking with the weights.
Around the ankles.
Yeah. You're one of those people.
Yeah, I got the lycra on.
I'm only kidding.
What do you run, Damo? Hook, line, and both.
Yeah, you got me. You got me.
Welcome to you, Damo. Welcome, Duck, because you were also spotted in the park doing some exercise.
You're allowed to
kicking a footy.
Are you allowed to do that?
Are you kicking the footy?
Well, hang on. Are you allowed to do that?
I think you are, Duck, but how would you know today?
Who knows?
How would you know? You can't go. You can't put a kid in a swing.
I'll tell you what I was doing. Because the kids can't play on the swings, I went to the park and I did have a kick of the footy. How long are you allowed to do it for?
Well, that's no more than an hour.
That's how long I did it for. No, I didn't have a mask on because I was well and truly a long distance away and I was exercising. I was bursting out on the lead to little Carter.
Carter was kicking him back to
Carter was.
Lace up, lace out.
How's he kicking? Is he kicking him all right?
Oh, he had an excuse yesterday. He had gum boots on.
Oh, so that was his excuse.
His excuse was he had gum boots on.
Yeah, very good. Damo, busy week as always for you.
Yeah, and a lot to still wade through, Joey. The best we can ascertain that even the first week of finals, which we now know will be straight after round 23, will not be officially determined and released by the AFL till probably Monday, which is only 4 days before the first of those four finals in week one, which is the new world we live in, but one we now expect, embrace, and are totally open to. But it just underlines where we've got to, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got to give the clubs and players a lot of credit for their ability to just adjust on the fly. And Daisy, just quickly got some mail that you this morning doing your bit for the community. You're at a Zoom meeting. You were giving some words of wisdom to a school, inspiring the youngsters.
Yeah, it was the grade 5, 6 at...
Were they in class?
No, they were all at home, so it was all via Zoom. Very good. The teacher made a bit of a deal of myself. He said, put your hand up if you got a question. I'm looking at all these blank faces. They press a button and the hand goes up in the corner.
Oh, so you don't actually...
I was waiting for the little dingbats to have the hand up. I'm like, geez, I mustn't be doing a very good job. No one's put their hand up here. But no, it was good. It was very good. They after about 40 minutes of me telling all my greatest war stories, they wound me up and they said they've had enough. So it was good.
That was their school for the day.
That was it.
Yeah, beautiful. Hey, while we get on talking to you about the hero of the week, this is a very special one close to your heart this week.
Daisy's hero of the round.
Before you start with this hero of the round, could you just make sure you're a bit more inspiring words than your hero of the round last week, Mark Murphy, how that panned out for Murph? Just give a word of warning because you're going to go down the same path again. Let's not hope for the same result.
Yeah, it wasn't a great result. Well, the first half was good, I'm sure, and Murph played a great game. The rest of the 95 points weren't that good for that footy club. But anyway, we thank 19
goals for Port Adelaide.
We thank Tiggy for everything he's done. No, look, I had a couple of choices this week, and I didn't know which route to go down. I thought, Willie Rioli, what a great feel-good story in the AFL. You know, there's a lot of people bugger up and they don't really get a second chance or a third chance. So I was thinking maybe to go him for the hero of the week and the West Coast Eagles, but it didn't happen. And then I thought, Eddie Betts, what a star. He's got a pocket named after him. A handful of Goal of the Year nominations. But I thought, what do those two blokes not have? And then I realised they don't have a profile piece on Fox Footy with two-shot cutaways, slow motion, fake action calling, headphones going on, stares off into the abyss.
It's official, so that was a
trick.
Voiced over by Rui. Well,
you know what?
I'm not sure if you've seen it, Duck, but it is the most self-indulgent thing I've ever seen. And Joey, I love it. Your star is on the rise. You are a buy in the world of AFL media, and you are my hero of the week.
When Lee Montagna arrived at St Kilda, it was like we drafted a player and a coach from the very beginning.
Here's the kick that will count towards Riewoldt.
For 15 years, I saw firsthand how good he was on the field. What an inspiration.
Montagna is able to deliver.
Now everyone is seeing how good he is off it. He tells us exactly what's happening. He tells us how. and why.
They don't really have matchups, and you think about the Brisbane forward line.
And yeah, he's had some good teachers. We're all wrapped his back on our team.
Come on, wrap it up. That went for
That
way
is
too long.
sickening.
Come on.
Where Joey Montagna now
Ramsey.
plays
That'll do.
and does a bit of coaching.
That is
up.
sickening, Joey.
I'll tell you
I'm the
what,
biggest
though.
fan in this room, Joey, but even that's
Yeah, it was.
lost me.
I've got to say,
That's Mark Howard.
I actually don't mind.
Yeah,
No,
it
that's what I
was.
mean. I don't mind it with Joey and Rui and Brownie and Dermy and Gary Lyon and Gaz and all of those, all of those people. But Howie, why is Howie walking down the surfboard with his
Slow motion
Hey, by the way,
surfboard
with his paddle
strut.
pop stick, because that's all he needs to surf on. Is that slight?
Oh,
There's a
Joey.
problem at Foxtel, Joey, with that sort of behaviour.
Yeah, I know. I know. I just do what I'm
You can
told.
say no. No, you can say no.
I couldn't say no to this
you
one.
can.
No,
We've
yes.
all been in those
No,
positions,
not to
Joey.
this one. I
Was
couldn't.
it
I couldn't.
hang on, was it a paid gig?
No, absolutely not.
Well,
mate.
Well, that's
No.
even worse.
No, it wasn't.
You probably shouldn't have done it.
No, it wasn't. So you tricked me here with Eddie Betts. I thought
Yeah,
were
we
gonna do
set
Eddie
you up a
Betts.
beauty
All
there.
right,
So
well
no, but we do love it. We love everything you're doing. So well done to you because I can't wait for my feature.
All right, let's get into it after this. We want to get all the footy news. There's plenty happening. We're going to have to discuss where the grand final might be played. We'll discuss Tassie and everything else going on with the AFL in the final straight after this. Damo, plenty of footy news. Where would you like to start?
Well, there's a logjam, isn't there, for people wanting to speak to the greatest coach of all time in some people's eyes, Alistair Clarkson. And I say that because we're going to get some clarity on the Carlton situation next week when the review is officially enacted upon publicly. There's no one in footy, Joey, that I speak to who expects David Teague to survive that review. And as such, the opening will then create itself as it has at Collingwood as well. And we now know that Alistair Clarkson went to great lengths to get himself out of the contractual arrangements to stay at Hawthorn for 2022. And those conversations have either been had or will be had. And it's incumbent upon the people making the decisions at those two clubs to know what he's doing, because they couldn't possibly present a new coach to their members, to their own club, without knowing the answer to the question, what are you doing, Alistair? So he still holds the whip hand in so many ways, as he always has done since he won that first premiership in 2008.
So is your understanding both Collingwood and Carlton are waiting on an answer from Alistair Clarkson? Have they formally, informally asked Clarko to coach their club?
No. I'm not, look, I've been really critical of Carlton, really critical of how they've handled it and how they've left people in the lurch at that club. Once they called the review, those people in those positions lost all their authority. They still, even as we speak today, going into round 23, don't know what happens beyond round 23, and as such, they've been in a really nervous and apprehensive state for a long time. But having said all that, I believe, again, I could be misplaced, Joey, I don't feel they've made any formal approaches to anyone outside of David Teague being that person. Those conversations will be taking place as soon as the weekend. But in terms of that aspect of it, Joey, I feel they've done it by the book and relatively respectfully.
So do you have it that the Pies have reached out to Clarko? Because if the Blues haven't, well, then they're falling behind in the race, obviously.
Look, this you have to line up what you think happens along with what you do know happens. The approaches officially have gone to Don Pike, they've gone to Michael Voss, they've gone to Brad Scott, Adam Uze is part of it. There's others in that. Jamie Graham's another one who's been spoken to. They've cast the net wide. If you're empowered with finding a replacement coach and officially Alistair Clarkson is available, that conversation's Daisy. I can't say it has happened, but I do know that it will have to happen.
Given there's instability at both clubs, guys, I'll ask you all, who do you pick if you're Clarko?
I think Carlton. I think Collingwood have got a long way to go from the list perspective. I'm just looking at the playing list where I think Carlton, you can easily get them into the top 8 next year and push for a flag in the next 3 to 4 years. I don't quite see that with Collingwood. I think Carlton would be the more attractive option to coach.
Do you see it that way too?
Yeah. The other thing that I will say, and I think I might have said this last week, I'm not sure whether I said it on this, we're in so many different forums, Joey, more so you. But do you think COVID helps one of these two clubs get Clarko, given that if he was able to travel and have a normal life, he would probably have a year off? But given he can't do that, just sitting around playing marbles, it's going to push him into it maybe a little quicker.
I wasn't buying I might have a year offline anyway. Dave.
Oh, you weren't buying that anyway?
He's wired to be a competitive beast every single week of his life.
Sorry, go.
I was going to say, so with the Pies, there's the Graham Wright issue, that he and Clarko had a bit of a falling out. And with the Blues, there's also, Clarko was pretty annoyed with how they handled the Brendan Bolton
Very
time
correct.
there.
Yep.
He's also got Andrew Russell, who left effectively with him. So There's a little bit to weigh up in both of those. And
Yeah.
Clarko is annoyed with the Bolton stuff, isn't he?
No, and that's fact. That is fact. And I would imagine if he wants to go to Carlton, he'd be saying to them, well, I'm going to bring my team. And I would think Brendan Bolton's part of his team, given he got Brendan Bolton back to Hawthorn when it did happen to him at Carlton. So the Graham Wright thing, the way I read that is Graham Wright was very happy to get away from the working arrangement with Alistair Clarkson, but it wasn't of a nature where it could never be done again. He wears thin on you, Clarko, and people who are his best mates say that. Graham Wright worked with him very closely. I'd be staggered, though, if that was going to be the overriding determination around whether he ended up at Collingwood or not.
Just got to be a working relationship, doesn't it? Just quickly then on Clarko, the word is that he's never been more passionate, more invested in the playing group. That's from inside the camp. And he's won 3 in a row. And since round 13, they've played 6 teams in the top 8 for 4.5 wins. They drew to Melbourne. They've beaten 4 other sides, including Brisbane and the Dogs in recent weeks. Is he arguably coaching as well as ever?
Yeah, he is.
Because there's one thing to be coaching a great team to premierships, and that is an amazing achievement. But the other thing of a great coach is when you've got an inferior team on the park, finding a way to beat top teams. That is a sign of a great coach.
And even the way he coached on the weekend against the Western Bulldogs, no O'Meara, no Warple, beat them up around the ball, the defensive side of the ground because of the wind down there in Tassie. He let the Dogs play that when they had it. When the Hawks had it, he was plugging it through the corridor. It was a coaching masterclass, and he's just loving his victory lap with a couple of middle fingers up, I reckon, just pointed directly at Jeffrey Kennett.
It just puts more and more pressure on Sam Mitchell, doesn't it, for every win that he has.
Well, we were doing the game, Doug. How awkward was it everyone's out on the ground hugging him, and we were on Mitchell watch, and the only time we sighted him was in the back corner of the room, leaning up against a wall.
Well, unlike about 4 or 5 weeks prior, where there was about 25 different split screens in the one game of both of them,
now it was
you
just
could not
Clarko.
spot him. You could not spot him anywhere, Sam Mitchell, that is.
And I believe he's inheriting in a better list than people give him credit for. I think the Hawks shouldn't be a bottom 6 team next year. They have the most exciting young backline in the competition if they're all fit and healthy.
Sicily, big in.
Absolutely. Granger Brass, Will Day, Giath shown. I think they should be doing much better than maybe people would have thought for next year for Sam Mitchell. Just quickly on the minor premiership race, Damo, because it's an interesting one. We've got the top 4 teams playing each other this weekend.
Yeah,
the
1v2, 3v4.
But the Dogs have got a bit to play for. They don't want to finish outside the top 4. But is there an incentive now to finish first or second when you're probably not going to get a home final anyway?
That seems to be the case. And look, there's still a bit to wade through on that aspect of it. But the desire for a final to be played in front of a crowd is right to this very point of Wednesday afternoon as we're talking, overriding the other desire, and that is to give the highest qualified team the right to pick and choose a venue. Geelong could still somehow come into that equation given the restrictions are different regionally, so that could still potentially be the case. There could be a crowd there. So that's all to still play out. But your point about the minor premier, Joey, extraordinarily, only 6 of the past 25 minor premiers, the team that finishes top of ladder after round 23 of an AFL season has gone on to win the premiership. 6 of 25, and not since Hawthorn in the first of their 3 in a row in 2013.
Yeah, it's a bit of a poison chalice. Do you think it's fair, Daisy, that the team that's going to finish first or second aren't going to get to play at their home venue, most likely, unless Port Adelaide, of course, finish there, but they get to choose, from what we're hearing from Gil today, but they get to choose the neutral venue that they want to play at?
I think you've earned the right to at least have some sort of say in it. So we know that fair isn't probably a word that we've used over the past 18, 24 months in terms of teams being up in Brisbane having most of their games played at their home stadium. So it's just the world we live in. So some sort of reward for finishing higher, I think you should have the right to choose. But again, what is fair?
With crowds is most important. That's really important to me, and not just. And I know the fairness thing, obviously doesn't advantage those teams that we're talking about, but just in terms of being a player and playing in front of crowds, finals. That's the reason why you want to play finals. Yeah. Because you're playing in front of packed stadiums. That's what we want.
Yeah,
we got a taste of it, didn't we? In the last game of round 22, the Derby. There was energy coming out of the screen.
It was like we were watching 2 teams in a different country.
It was. And yet that was what we used to get on a fortnightly basis, wasn't it? So it just proved to the AFL they've got to get the games in front of people.
I think we all agree. I just think for someone like Melbourne, it's a 1% advantage to play at the MCG in front of an empty stadium. They are trying to win a flag. But I agree that it's probably
only a 1% without the crowd? Is it only 1%? Or is it?
It's too hard to put a figure on it. It certainly would.
But is it more crowd-driven, the home ground advantage? When we refer to it in the historical sense.
Yes. It is, yeah. But there's still that comfortability factor of
The
playing
venue.
your venue, your change rooms, your environment. But certainly it's not as big an impact because of the home crowd support.
Yeah, and whether you've got the support or not, whether it's a cheer or a boo, it doesn't matter. It's just that electricity that the crowd brings.
Yeah.
Our favourite segment of the show, it's time for Duck Dive.
On the Midweek Rub, it's time for Duck Dive.
I'm good from the waist down.
Quick Five.
Let's start with Daisy's favourite topic. We want to ask you, Duck, about the grand final and the venue that it's going to be held, because Damo flagged in about round 10, I'll say.
And then
that
11, 12,
that
13.
the grand final may be in Perth.
I think it was
and
earlier than round 10.
Duck, no, Duck didn't want to have a bar of
We've
it.
changed our view 12 times since then. That's why I said don't talk about
Are
it.
you now conceding 100% the grand final will be held in Perth?
I hate to disappoint you boys, but I'm not conceding. I still think with what our Premier has done to us here in Melbourne and lock us down, and I mean curfew lockdown, I mean this is full lockdown.
Lockdown the
This
playground.
This is giving us a chance to get the grand final in Melbourne.
This is still giving us a chance. And I'll tell you why, because at the end of the fortnight, by the way, that fortnight hasn't started yet. It starts tomorrow. So we've still got 2 weeks after tomorrow. And if we
Playgrounds are locked down, Doug.
And if we get tell me about it. I got Charlotte sitting over there in the background. But if we can get it back to where I think we can, if everyone does the right thing, and we can get it back to there, Joey, then what I'm saying, and then what's that, 3 weeks after that the grand final's on, well, who knows? We might have 50,000+ at the MCG. I'm just saying.
Concede, Duck.
Have you seen Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
There's a chance.
There's a chance. Well, let's just take a listen back, Daisy, to our favourite moments of this show, all the way back into what round it was, Rabs. It might have been before round
Round 2, I think.
Let's just take a listen to how it all started. Duck, what's your issue with where the grand final's going to be played? It's a big talking point.
Why are we talking about it? Why are we talking about it now?
What if it's not at the MCG?
What if there's a lot of what ifs?
Yeah, there are, Duck. There's no games in Melbourne again this weekend.
So let's talk about it when it becomes an if or a what if.
No, it is an if now,
It's
Duck.
not an if now because we don't know where we're going to be in 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks in this state. We know where the other states are, but we don't know where we're going to be. Let's be honest, we're coming out of lockdown maybe in the next 24 hours.
The reason
into a bigger cage, and we're going to maybe have crowds this week or next week, Damo. But you want to already talk about Perth and Adelaide.
The reason we had the
you hate
reaction.
Perth, is that what you're saying?
No, I love Optus Stadium. I love Perth and I love Adelaide, and those two states would be wonderful if we had cases in 3 months' time.
So you hate
And guess
Perth.
what? We've got cases.
And we haven't played a game in front of a crowd in Melbourne
You know
since
what?
that
You know
conversation.
what we should do then,
What have you
Damo?
played?
We should sign you up as the COVID expert.
He's got that title already.
Oh boy!
Hey, Duck, let's move on. I want to ask you this one. I thought we were going to touch on Eddie Betts as the hero of the round, but obviously we weren't. Is he the greatest small forward to ever play the game?
It's a great question. There's been a lot of great small forwards, haven't there? I mean, you think of I put Dacos in the small forward category. I think your old teammate Stevie Milne was a wonderful player. There's been so many, but 350 games to kick the amount of goals, to kick the special goals. He's in the argument to be the best.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. What you've got to remember too, Lee Matthews is regarded as a small forward. He played in the centre or on ball and then went forward and kicked over 900 goals.
Yeah.
So if you want to look at it like that, then Lethal's probably the best.
Yeah.
But if you're to consider him, he is the best. But Eddie Betts is in the argument, no question.
Phil Matera gets overlooked in these conversations, I feel. He
he's
didn't
another
get
one.
to 400 goals, but he got close and it was as good as anyone for a period of time in the space.
No, I
wasn't he?
agree.
And yeah, I'm with you, Doug. Stephen Milne. I look, for what it's worth, it's just my opinion as this game is. I take Dacos out of that conversation because he played a lot of footy midfield before he did the knees and played as a quasi full forward that year. He kicked the 98, so 96, whatever it was. But anyway, that's just my opinion, Doug.
It's a fair highlights reel that he finishes with, though, Eddie. Some of those goals you see, and the fact that he's literally declared that whole half of the ground now, not just the pocket. He wants both of them, and rightfully so. He can have them.
Special player that
Special guy too.
Pay money to go and watch.
Yeah, we wish him all the best in retirement. He can join us, Daisy, on the other side. He's already spoken about that he's looking forward to being able to just eat and do whatever he likes. So
I might have to have a chat to him because it's harder to get it off.
Hey, just looking ahead to 2022, do you believe both Richmond and West Coast can be in contention for a premiership in 2022, or either or both do you rule out and say no, they can't win it next year?
No, I'm not ruling them out next year.
Yep.
No, I think they both can bounce back.
Next question. Which team would you least
Still
like
not riding off West Coast this year.
I was about to ask you that.
Come on.
Hey,
No. So the grand final could be at the MCG and West Coast could still win the flag.
I'm still not riding off West Coast just yet.
right.
Wait until past the weekend and find out what occurs and where people sit. But still,
So if they beat Brisbane, they'll play finals.
They still have the quality. I'm still thinking of the quality for whatever reason and whatever's going on at that club. There's serious issues because you can't have the quality of that list and be playing the way you are. So, look, on form, I'm being a dingbat. Clearly, they can't win it.
They could even beat Brisbane and not make
still
it.
miss out.
That's the problem.
I
we've
know,
now got.
but I'm saying, so on form, I mean, it's a stupid comment, right? But on the quality of their list, it's not.
Yep. Who would you least like to play in this final series, Giants or Essendon? Who could do more damage out of those two sides in the finals?
It's a good. I thought about. I was at the dog park this morning. Just walking the dog. And
Lucky it would have been weird if you weren't.
Non-dog.
And I actually thought I actually thought that, you know what? I someone asked me the question and I said I think GWS's game stacks up better in finals than what Essendon's does at this point in time. So they play a brand that we know that we love watching.
Essendon do,
but come play finals, I think it might be a little bit different. So GWS for me.
Two quick
not
ones.
to play.
Can the Western Bulldogs win the premiership with Tim English as their number one ruckman?
Oh, I still think the Bulldogs can win it. Now, on form right now, a bit like West Coast, no, they're playing bloody ordinary footy at the moment,
Only
the
won
Bulldogs.
6 of their past 11.
Yeah, so, they've got some work to do, but their best is good enough.
Yep. And just a quick one. How's your arm? Is it okay now? We heard about you had the vaccine and for 3 days you were bedridden, were you, Duck? Big tough Duck.
I wasn't bedridden. Once again, I saw Daisy. I was walking the dog. I tried to walk it off, and it was pretty courageous for me to get to work over the weekend, to be honest.
Well done.
Well, you didn't get to work on Friday night.
No, well, I had that off, but I had the Saturday, Sunday just to get up.
What was your logic? You had some logic about being able to do radio but not TV.
Not television fit.
Well, no, exactly. Obviously,
visually,
it's a visual thing.
And you
TV.
like to present well.
And so on radio, you can just come in and you can sort of cover it a bit. You can
wing it a bit.
You can go away and sort of blow your nose. You can do whatever.
Yep.
But you can't do that on TV.
Just a little pre-finals bye for Duck, just to get him in peak condition for a big final series. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, exclusive to the listener app. And as we take a look ahead to round 23, we will take a look back at our certainties from last week because a couple of boys were never in doubt and a couple of us got it wrong.
All right, I'll kick off. I'll go the Power over the Blues.
I'll take hopefully a confidence boosting tip here, Joey, in Lions to beat the Magpies.
Just a combined winning margin of 170 points,
There
you
you go.
blokes.
Yeah,
well done, never in doubt.
I'll take the Magpies to beat the Lions.
Oh, hello. That crystal ball's gone missing after I had one week in that one. I'm taking the Tigers again. I'm doubling down on Richmond to beat the GWS Giants.
Messi
Yellow
game.
and back.
Yeah, they're on life support for a long time
boy.
there. And finally, we put them out of their misery.
Those looking through the same ball.
Oh, that was shocking. Yeah, got that one well and truly wrong. So we're all putting in plenty of beers anyway. I know that it's going to be a big mad Monday for the Midweek Rub. But let's have a look at the final round action because, of course, as we touched on, a couple of games are going to shape the top four, Bulldogs and Power and the Cats and Demons. But we'll just get your certainties from this round.
Actually, I was going to go with the Crows and the Roos. I was going to take the Roos, but I'm not. I've changed,
Okay.
if you don't mind. I'm going to go the Demons to beat the Cats. Top of the table clash.
Nice.
Do you think the Demons put everything into this game, or do you think that there should be an element of potentially holding something back?
Given that you go straight into next week, you are going flat knacker.
Oh, yeah.
You are making sure your form and players are hardened, ready to go. And as you guys know, if you go half-hearted or just a little bit, that's when you do get injured, and that's when you lose confidence. They've got to go flat out.
So you save nothing. It's
Save-
all on the table.
For me, it's all on the. For me,
Yeah.
it is. That's how I would approach it as a player. Yeah.
Tactically, I think you could save some things.
Right.
Like from the coach's
Yeah.
box, but in terms
Correct.
of your
But
effort
as a player,
and,
Yeah, I agree. As a player, you always play full on,
Yeah.
but as a coach, I would just be a bit
Hold back.
smarter
Yeah.
with just a couple of things,
So
even to
if
some
you-
players and maybe some things you want to keep up your sleeve. Because
what play Stephen May at full forward or something?
Well, maybe depending on if he's still sore. But they pulled him out late.
Yeah, they did.
Might be another player that they just say, you know what, there's no pre-finals bye. If you're not quite right, we'll rather rest you. And as we've found, finishing on top doesn't actually help you too much in the last 25 years. So I don't think they'll mind if they finish second or third. But once you're out there, everyone who's playing plays to win.
Just quickly,
absolutely.
we should have touched on it. Should there be a bigger award for finishing on top? Should there be? I mean, there's got to be. To be minor premier is a big thing. That's the marathon. That's the hardest part, is to finish on top.
We're just not wide that way as
It's
a
not our
competition,
game.
are we?
It's not our code.
We've never done it.
That's why I'm asking the question. Do you think there should be more reward for it?
No.
More
Rather
reward
than
or more
rather than-
acknowledgement? Because the reward is to play fourth. I don't know how you change that. But is it more acknowledgement you're asking?
Absolutely. I think
Yeah,
there
I
should
agree
be.
with the acknowledgement thing, but you can't change a mindset that's 100 years old, can you?
Yeah.
I'm
agree.
with you. The achievement's extraordinary.
I'm with Damo. I think our game is about finishing in the top four. It's just about It's about positioning, isn't it? Like in practice laps in a Formula One, you just want to finish up the front of the grid and give yourself the best chance for finals. Ours is all focused on finals, not so much where you finish home and away.
Imagine in 1998 when you finished top, which you ended up not winning that year, more to that point about the 6 out of the past 25. If you went to Dennis Page, hey, Dennis, here's your trophy for finishing top after home and away season, what would he have done with it? He would have thrown it
if
out.
there was acknowledgement behind it, I'm sure he would love it. He wanted us too, by the way. That was in front of just under 70,000 Bulldogs North. Now picture that. Bulldogs North, 70,000 at the MCG. We won by 5 points. So I'm telling you now, both sides had a crack. They wanted to finish on top of the ladder.
Damo, which game are you going to look at?
I'm going to take the Bombers against the Magpies. I just could not be more impressed with what the Bombers have done to get back from that 2-win, 6-loss start to 2021, Joey. It's real. They've had a really good 2 weeks patch of it, and I just think their game stands up, and I'm keen to see it under finals pressure.
I'm just nervous for Essendon supporters because this season has thrown so many curveballs, and just when we think the Bombers are flying, the Bombers are going to maybe make a charge, there's a gut feel in me, and this is nothing with the brain, a gut feel that maybe Collingwood could find a way to knock Essendon off and just cost them a spot in the finals.
Not the way they played last week.
But we keep saying that all season, and then a team comes out of nowhere and plays good footy, and the team that's playing well all of a sudden has a stinker. There's a curveball somewhere in this round.
There often is in round 23.
There is a curveball.
Yep.
I'll tell you what it is. It's how many guys have drifted off thinking, what are they going to do after the season?
Got the jeans in the bag.
Yeah, if you've got 4 or 5 of those guys in your team.
But you can't do anything this year, Dave.
That have packed the dancing shoes.
But they're not thinking about their dancing shoes. They can't go
They
anywhere.
can't do anything.
Put the passport in
Where
the
are they
bag.
going?
Yeah, they can't go anywhere.
They're going to the
There's
Dolphins.
no footy trip. There's no nightclub straight
Can't you
after.
dream? Can't you dream?
No.
There will be an upset somewhere in this round. Daisy, what are you looking at?
Daisy Thomas is the Oracle.
It used to be.
One last chance, Oracle.
Yeah, we're not playing that again if you get this wrong, all right?
Shut up, Dave. The Blues will beat the Giants. There's your twist. There's your final twist.
How?
They'll kick more score.
I'll tell you what, if you
This
get
is
that
the
one up.
third time you dingbats have laughed at me.
All right.
We will be back next week.
Yeah.
The Blues.
Couldn't happen, could it?
It could. Well, they
Yeah, I know.
They're gonna do it
served
for
up an
Eddie.
absolute pile of dung against North and then came out and beat St Kilda. Oh, boy.
It'll be as big a resurrection as Easter. All right. I'm going to go with Sydney to beat the Gold Coast Suns. They'll do a number on them, and
That's going out in a limb.
I wasn't sure.
No, stick with it. Stick with
Nah,
it.
that's
Stick
it.
with
Yeah,
it.
right. The Sun, yeah,
Let's go the Suns.
Will that be Stewie Drew's last game as coach?
I don't see it being that way. There is pressure. There deserves to be pressure. He is contracted, and I still can't get my head around the AFL running that club effectively, endorsing the moving out of a guy who is under contract, given their now very public and strong views on paying coaches out of contract.
So poor Stewie Drew will be the coach for the first 6 rounds of next
Well,
year that
that's a
everyone will
different story.
focus on.
Yeah.
All right. Another good show as always. Don't forget you can listen to every game across round 23 on Triple M and the Listener app, starting with Friday night's big clash between the Dogs and the Power, starting from 6 p.m. The Friday Rub Boys, Howie, Das, Brownie, Jace and Damien Barrett. This has been another edition of Triple M's Midweek Rub.
Shut up!